Hi everybody, how's everyone doing today? Let me just adjust this a little bit. Look at that, I need a haircut. I'll have to get the clippers out after I finish the live stream. Clearly I don't look at myself, so I never know how long it is. Quick bit of housekeeping. How is the volume and the lighting? I'm guessing everyone can see and hear me okay. If someone could just stick a little thumbs up and let me know, that would be awesome. I still look too high on here. That's better. There we go. Yeah. Somebody just popped something in the comments to say that they can hear me and see me. Monkey Chops, thank you very much. Excellent. Just looking to see how many's in. We've got 4 people in already. Normally people do take a little bit of time. They're strolling in casually 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 minutes after I've started. So we'll just give them another few seconds to join in. I hope you all doing well wherever you are in the big wide world. It's been a bit of a wild few weeks here in the UK. I've commented on lots of videos about the weather and how awful it's been, but fingers crossed, this weekend, apart from it being a bit cool, the rain and the sleet and the snow and the wind particularly seems to have gone away. So I'm really pleased about that. You'll have seen in yesterday's video, apologies for it being late up, but it was a long day. And regular viewers will know my internet is not the speediest in the world. It takes hours, literally. I come in, I do the little edit, upload it to the computer, and then I just sit there for 3, 4, sometimes longer. I quite often end up waking up in the middle of the night and pressing the live button to get it on the system. So yeah, yesterday, really productive day. I'll touch on what I got up to yesterday as we go through the video today, or the live stream today. Trying to avoid doom and gloom. There's enough doom and gloom kicking around. So whilst I will touch on a few topics that we might be prepping for, which is the subject of the live stream, what are we prepping for? I don't intend to get into the depths of despair. I want everyone to be nice and positive and happy and not thinking terrible thoughts. Let's have a quick little look and see who's in. I know Shawnee was first in this evening. So hi, Shawnee. Monkey Chops, hi. Heather, hi. Who else have we got in there? Linda, hi, Linda. Rob, hi. Steve, hi. We're up to 12 now. Come on, where are the rest? Say hi. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can just sit and listen. So yeah, try and avoid the doom and gloom and try and have a little bit of positivity in the live stream. Very keen, I did say in the video yesterday that I was keen for people to ask questions. I failed miserably already because Shawnee put a little question in the comment section, and it was about growing celery, and it's something I've never done. I do think I have celery seeds because I've got, seen buckets, literally big buckets of seeds of all types and varieties. I'm pretty sure that there's some celery in there somewhere. I will have a little dig around, maybe not tonight, maybe tomorrow, and see if I have got them. And if I have, maybe we can do a little shared growing session. But if anybody does know how to get celery started from seed, because apparently it's quite difficult, then I'm sure that Shawnee would love to see your comments. So feel free to throw them in as we go through the live stream. Just had Sal Davies join in as well. Hi. So yeah, no doom and gloom. Very keen to hear questions that you might have as we go through the live stream. I'll touch on a few little different topics, current events, what I've been doing recently and what I'm thinking of doing shortly or over the next weeks and months. And then we'll get on to Q&A at the end to see what's on everybody's mind and what they think we should be prepping for. So, biggest news that's been breaking over the last few weeks, and we've touched on it in a few videos, is the situation in Ukraine. It's still going on. Everybody, including myself, is praying that the more sensible outlook prevails and we don't end up with a big peeing contest between different world leaders to see who's got the biggest one, because that could end very, very badly. It's very, very easy to start a conflict, and we've seen plenty of them over the last 10 years or so that were supposed to be a bit like inflation, transitory, short-lived, over quickly, back to freedom and democracy for everybody. And that wasn't the case, as we all know. This could potentially be a lot worse than those, because we're not on far-flung reaches of the planners. We're actually in the middle of Europe with the big boys. It's not one of the big boys against one of the little contenders. It's big boys versus big boys. So praying that that doesn't get out of hand. But again, I've touched on lots of things in videos over the last few years, and I've kind of recapped in a few videos this year on things that we should be prepping for, because in reality, and I do think I mentioned this yesterday, or maybe it was last weekend. I'm getting on now. My mind's not what it was. But essentially, we're prepping for anything that could adversely impact on our normal day-to-day routine. So that could be anything from a short-term power outage, you blow a fuse in your house, takes a while for you to either fix it yourself or get somebody in to do it, job done and away. Very short-lived, don't need much to survive that. Unemployment, that happened a lot during COVID, and that's very, very big impact on your personal finances and your ability to sustain yourself. We've all got bills that need paying every single month, regardless of what else is going on in the world. So if you were to suddenly become out of work, lose your job, that's a massive impact. So that's quite mid-range down the prepping scale of 1 to 10. That's probably a 5 or a 6, touching on 7 even, perhaps. And then we've got the really big things. And again, we've seen some of those. Sorry, my phone was just buzzing. We've seen COVID, a global pandemic. No one really saw that coming. It just kind of appeared out of nowhere and had a huge impact over the last 2 years. And things that are going on now in the Ukraine. So there's a range of different things on a kind of a sliding scale of 1 to 10 in terms of how much they would impact us and how dramatic that impact could be. And we're prepping for all of those, if the truth is told. Prepping is for anything that might adversely impact your normal daily routine, which is what all of those things could do. It's quite funny. I don't know how many people have seen the, it's quite infamous rather than famous, Doomsday Prepper series that was on American TV, and then it got syndicated around the world. And some random guy would come on and say, I'm preparing for an EMP, or I'm preparing for an asteroid to hit the Earth. There is not one thing that you should be prepping for. You should be prepping for all of them, all of the above, because the basics are essentially the same. And I did definitely do this in a recent video. You need to make sure you've got some clean air to breathe. Pandemic's a good example of that. We've all been running around with masks on because the air allegedly wasn't good for our health. You need water, you need food, you need some kind of shelter from the elements. And at the end of the scale, you need some kind of finances to buy the things that you can't produce yourself. We can grow fruit and vegetables, We can't necessarily grow our own petrol or gas. Although I have seen some suggestions on YouTube as to how you can make your own gas. You might want to have a little look at that at some point. So yeah, prepping, what are we prepping for? Me personally, I'm prepping for all of the above. All of those things would have either a small, medium, or massive impact on my daily routine, but the principles of prepping are all the same. Those things that I just mentioned, we need all of those things to get us through any of those events. So I guess what I'm really saying is I wouldn't really focus on just one potential crisis or disaster. I would instead focus on the process of prepping. Don't say I'm prepping for that, just say I'm prepping and I need this. Does that kind of make sense? I hope it does. Let me have a quick look in the comments because I've seen lots of things scrolling by. Steve's waiting for the aliens. Well, we've had everything else, haven't we, over the last couple of years? So yeah, who knows? The truth is out there. Just see Dave Smith's joined in. Hi, Dave. Your internet is working then. That's good. Shawnee says Doomsday Prep is a crazy program. Yeah, they were people looking for their 15 minutes of fame. And I think they made 2 series out of it. They got the company that made it must have seen the huge interest in some of the really crazy stuff that was coming out, and went for a second series. They kind of gave prepping a bit of a bad name, but at the same time, it probably did us a favor in that it's piqued interest. All right, some of that interest might have been from some crazy people, but I think it did promote some interest in the whole topic of prepping. But the biggest favor, really, I mean that in the nicest way possible, the biggest favor for preppers really has been the pandemic, because that's really opened a lot of people's eyes to just how fragile the world is and how dependent we are on the grid for utilities, so your water, your electric, your gas, so on and so forth, and the supply chain. I don't think that, how can I put this? I don't think a lot of people realised just how far flung the supply chain reached. You know, you go to the supermarket, oh, there's my bag of crisps on the shelf, or there's my bottle of olive oil, whatever it happens to be. They think that it comes from the supermarket. I don't mean everybody, but you get my meaning. They don't really realise that product has come off the back of a truck, that's come from a warehouse, that's come from a factory, that's gathered components or ingredients from all around the world to manufacture that product. And if you go back even further, whether it's the olive oil, someone had to plant the tree, nurture the tree, feed the tree, water the tree, pick the olives off the tree, pack them, ship them to that factory to be then processed into the oil and into the warehouse and onto the truck and into your supermarket. So I think a lot of people have kind of woken up to how dispersed the supply chain is and how it doesn't take much to upset the cycle, whether that's at the growing stage or the manufacturing stage, or whether that's in the journey through the supply chain to the shop that you buy that product from. So COVID kind of did us a favor, really. It's woken a lot of people up that life is great while it's normal, but it doesn't take much to upset that normality and for it all to turn completely chaotic and all of a sudden there's no toilet roll on the shelves in the supermarket. So if nothing came out of COVID other than that, I'm very, very happy that it did, because that's woken people up and it's kind of reinforced the mindset of people who are already prepping to just go, do you know what? It has happened. Look at that. Aren't I pleased that I've got a pantry full of food, or I've got lots of water or petrol or gas stored away, or I've got an alternative means of transport or energy production, whatever it is. So yeah, COVID did do us a favour, but it should have served to wake people up and to remind existing preppers not to neglect to continue to prep, because the next crisis is, well, it's only a matter of days or weeks or months away. And so it has proven. We've gone out of pandemic, we've had the supply chain glitch, we've had the fragility of the financial system and the economies of the countries, which is still fragile and is still waiting to fall off a cliff, in my humble opinion. And now we've seen this new latest thing. I mean, who would have thought 6 months ago that the Russians were going to move into Ukraine and suddenly create two new countries within Ukraine, recognize those, and have the world on the edge. People are shipping troops into Europe now, like it's a competition to see who can get as many or more than the others there quicker than the others. So yeah, who'd have seen that 6 months ago? So you never know when that next crisis is coming. So we should continue to build on our preps. And if any of you are recent to the prepping journey, or are literally just starting out, or have accidentally stumbled on this ramble live stream, then if you haven't started, get started, because there are a selection of different events that could come and bite us over the course of the next few months and as we go through this year. Let's have another quick look, see who's commenting. Russians are coming. The aliens are coming. You see, you've started something now, Steve. Are we going to start doing videos then? Shall I do one next week about the aliens? There is a prepper channel. It's called Praxis Prepper. And he did a whole series of prepping related videos on the subject of alien invasion. And he's I think it's about 5 or 6 episodes into a second series. So it must have worked for his ratings the first time around. So yeah, aliens. There is somebody already within the prepping sphere who has done that, been there, got the badge. So if you've not seen that, scroll back through his channel. It must be a couple of years ago when he did the original first series, and he's, as I say, he's about 6 or 7 episodes into his second one. Randomness. No diesel here locally. Whereabouts are you? Are you in the UK or are you in another country? I did notice, you might remember back end of last year, we went through a bit of a diesel petrol shortage in the UK. I did notice, I think it was not Friday gone, but the Friday before, so just over a week ago, the petrol station that I go to had 4 or 5 pumps closed off. And I thought, oh, here we go. And I'm sure somebody, it might have been one of my sons, said that they'd turned up at a petrol station and there wasn't any. They were all shut. All the pumps were closed off. So who knows? We might be going through another petrol diesel crisis as a result of all of this. Dave Smith, SARS, 2004 should have gotten people thinking. You're right, it should have. And we've had a few of these respiratory diseases. There was MERS, SARS. There was another one. Can't remember what it was. Middle East. Yeah, that was MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome. I think that came from camels. But they're talking about another one now, and there's lots of conspiracy theories still about the origins of the COVID, the original COVID, because we've had lots of different COVIDs over the last 2 years. Steve says the aliens are already here, and the system's going to collapse by 2030. Well, there's a lot happening in 2030. If you're in the UK, then you'll know that by 2030, petrol and diesel new cars are going to be gone completely. You can't buy a new petrol or diesel car. Gas boilers for heating your home have been phased out. You can't buy a new gas boiler after 2030. So yeah, there's lots of stuff here in the UK by 2030 that's going to cause real issues. Where's all the electricity going to come from to power all these new cars if you can't buy a new petrol or diesel one? You can't even buy a hybrid. So where's the electric going to come from? And where's the gas substitute going to come from? Because they've already said they can't do hydrogen. And these, I think what they're called, ground source heat pumps, might work fine in a warmer climate country than the UK, but you use more electric in the UK during autumn and winter than you would using gas, or you use more energy than you would using gas. So yeah, 2030, we're going to have issues come 2030 for sure. Whether it'll be system collapse or not, I don't know. I suspect the stock market, housing market will crash way before then. But whether it's a end of the world kind of crash, who knows? What else have we got? Randomness, Southwest UK. Okay. No panic in North Lincolnshire yet, Steve. Guess where I am? And I'm not panicking. Aliens called Paul, Steve, Dave, and even who? Oh, the Hillary and the Nancy. I don't get the Paul, Steve, and Dave. Dave Smith. Enlighten us. Shawnee complaining about the price of diesel, petrol in the US. I know you've all gone crazy in the States. I've been watching a few different channels, prepping channels, and they're talking about the price per gallon. Somebody was saying it was $6 a gallon and forecast to get to $7 a gallon. It's £1.50. So that's, I don't know what that is in dollars. What's that in dollars? Well, it's $1.30 to the pound. So it's £1.50 for 1 litre of diesel for my car. So somebody can do the math and tell Shawnee how much it is in the UK per gallon. It's absolutely shocking. Agenda 2130, New Greenwich, yeah. Putting solar farms in the fields around your town, Steve. They are. I went to London. I'm going quite a bit lately for this new job. And on the main line running north-south from where I am towards the north, it's not proper north because I am from the proper north, which is a little bit further north than where I currently live. But as I travel down to London on the train, I must have passed loads of really big fields full of solar panels. Somebody was asking about solar panels. I mentioned it in yesterday's video. That kind of just proves the point. People are not going to invest hundreds of thousands of pounds in laying out a field of solar panels in the UK if they're not going to get a return on that investment. Panels don't actually need full direct sun to generate the electric. They will work, and I think I've pointed it out in a few videos that I've done early morning in the cabin, where I've said, look at this, it's not even really daybreak yet, and I've got power going from the panel into the batteries. Solar is definitely, in my opinion, the way to go, whether it's off-grid or even for your house, if you can afford it. Prices are coming down a lot, but it's still an expensive proposition to convert your entire house to solar. And it will take a long time to repay that investment. But having said that, will it? If we're suddenly going to have a massive surge of electric vehicles and we need a substitute for gas for heating and for cooking, in our homes in the UK because they're banning it all. Is it such a crazy investment to get ahead of the game now, or to spend a little bit of time over the coming years before you get to 2030 to do your house? I would suggest it's probably a really good idea. Where are you based? Is that, if you're asking me, Steve, I'm in North Lincolnshire. Mikey B, hi. Good stockers or brand for portable-ish solar panels and an inverter. If you're buying a portable solar panel, the inverter bit, well, it's not an inverter, it's a charge controller. It's already built in to the portable panels, and you can plug USBs into the back of those, or you can take your 12-volt cable, run off those portable panels to charge your battery. If you're talking about inverters in the real sense of, or meaning of the word, an inverter is what you use to convert 12 volts to our mains electric, which here in the UK is 220 to 240 volt. You're going to need a lot of panels if you're going to try and run mains voltage through an inverter. I've got 400 watts on my roof of the cabin. That's ignoring the one for the diesel heater. For the main system, I've got 400 watts of power coming in. If you think that if you want to run something like tools, a microwave oven draws phenomenal amounts of power. You're talking about startup of 2000 watts minimum, and then 800 to 1000 watts to run it. So if you're talking about portable panels, you're really looking at low voltage appliances rather than mains appliances. So 12 volts. Hope that answered the question. If it doesn't, then ask again in the comments. But there are loads, you can get them everywhere. eBay, I saw one, in fact, I almost bought it. It was a folding panel that kind of unfolded out, and I think it was made up of 5 or 6 smaller panels, and I'm sure it was 150 watts. But the downside is you only had USB outputs from that panel. You didn't have a cable to go to a battery to charge up a 12-volt battery. But you can get them. The folding ones like I've got, 100 watt, they have gone up actually since I bought mine. I think they're around about 160, 170 pounds. Look at this, my coffee. I'm doing my trick in the cabin. It's going cold. Mikey B, $7 a gallon. Yeah. US gallon is 3.8 litres. Well done, Dave Smith. I didn't know that. I was doing 4.5 litres to the gallon. Can't grow crops in fields filled with panels, and they want meat gone, so we need a heck of a lot of space to grow veggies. Yeah, the whole agenda about getting rid of meat on the back of climate emergency and we've got to save the planet, it's just nonsense. I don't know if you've noticed, I don't know how it is in the US, maybe one of the US viewers could comment, but I'm seeing every single day at least 4 or 5 advertisements on TV, and I don't have the TV on for more than a couple of hours a day, if that, for vegetarian burgers and sausages, and you know, everything's meat substitute now. It's absolutely crackers. So if they get rid of all the cows and sheep, there will be lots of land for growing, but it isn't necessarily the best land for growing crops. And there's a whole thing about whether cows and sheep are actually doing the damage that people say they are. Maybe that's something for a future video. So Steve's got solar in his garage. That's good. Once you've started, yes, Steve, it is close. Yeah, once you've started, the thing with solar is you can do, and you've seen this on my cabin, you start off small and you experiment to see how it all works and fits together, and you'll very quickly realize what you can and can't power from whatever it is you start with. And then you just expand. So you buy another panel, and then another panel, and then another panel, and they all interconnect into the cables. You still have two coming out at the end to go into your charge controller and your battery. But be careful, as you're adding panels, you'll have to think about upgrading your charge controller as well at some point. The more panels you add, eventually you're going to run out of capacity on the solar channel, on the solar charger. Sorry, on the charge controller, and you'll need to upgrade to a more powerful one, or buy the biggest you can straight away. They're not actually that expensive in the big scheme of things, certainly not compared to panels and batteries. Yeah, and just expand, and eventually, if you keep going long enough, you'll power your whole house. You'll just go convert it all to mains power, and you can forget an electric bill. I was watching one of your videos and I noticed you were live. Hi, Sandra. So new solar panels on the south side of Monash. I can't say as I've noticed that, Dave, to be honest, but then I don't really trek up and down that road very often. That's an area near where I am. Well, I say near, it's a little bit away, but I know it because I used to live there, or I used to live in that town a long time ago. Beware of eBay in case it's shiny as junk. That is very true, Mikey. There is a lot of crap out there. And there's a lot of stuff that looks like it's a UK seller and been dispatched from the UK, and you'll have it in 2 or 3 days, and then it isn't. It turns out that it's still in China, and it takes weeks to get here, if it ever does. In terms of solar, if you're referring to solar, there's lots of UK stockists of the more reputable brands, Ecoworthy, Renergy. There's a few different ones, and they kind of fluctuate in price, but you can get 100 watts for 70, 75 pounds sterling. That's the ones that go on the roof rather than the portable ones. And they've got nothing, can't plug in anything. There's no USB outlets on those. It's just literally 2 cables coming out to go to your charge controller. But that's not bad price. A year or 2 ago, they were almost double that. So they are coming down slowly but surely. Steve, Dave Smith is fairly local. He's across that bit of water we've got to the north with a big bridge going over it. Oh, there, he's just told you now in the comments. Sorry, I'm just seeing what's in the comments section. Somebody else has noticed all these adverts for meat alternatives. There's millions, literally. They're just growing and growing and growing by the day. But I suspect that the majority of people will still like to have real meat, even if it is limited because they can't afford it every day. Yeah, somebody else has made a valid point as well. McDonald's, KFC, Subway, they're all in it because it's fad. And it's easy for them to do. So they just add another line and all of a sudden they're eco-friendly. They've got the credentials. Look at us, we're doing vegan food and we're helping to save the planet, and we're charging a fortune. We're charging meat prices for something that isn't meat. Yeah, lots of people talking about solar. I've done quite a few videos. If you're new, scroll back through the videos on the channel. I have done quite a lot on solar. So I've done make your own portable battery bank, to take with you on camping, hiking, for bug outs, whatever, with your folding solar panel. I've done the cabin build. I've done a couple on the cabin because I expanded it. So I've done quite a lot on solar. So if you scroll back through, you should find whatever you're looking for in terms of solar. Apart from a house, clearly I'm not competent to create a system for a domestic house. I'll have to pay some money to do that at some point. Gareth, hi. Better late than never. And you can always watch it on the rerun. Julie, hi. Veggie options normally made with rubbish, not healthy at all. Yeah, it's all flavouring. They're trying to just create, it's normally soy, cover it in lots of artificial chemicals and flavourings and make it seem as if it tastes like meat when it isn't. Dana, which is it? Dana. Fertilizer pesticide shortage. Yeah, that's a big thing about Russia and the Ukraine now. Everybody's jumping on that bandwagon. People in the UK might remember we had an issue during COVID where a huge fertilizer plant said it was going to close down because of the rise in price of energy, and the government bailed them out to keep it open. And I think, if I'm not wrong, I saw something just the other day that they were looking for another handout because that handout that they'd had before had run out. So they wanted another one. For mainstream agriculture, fertilizer is a huge thing because they use it every single year without fail, because they've farmed for so long that the natural goodness, for want of a better description, of the soil is gone. And it's just barren earth. And the only way they can grow things is by pumping it full of fertilizer. So if the fertilizer truck stops coming, or the fertilizer factory stops churning it out, you'll hit a food crisis really very quickly. And that's what a couple of channels, I think Ice Age Farmer did something recently about it. They've mentioned that, you know, it's game over for global agriculture if we don't get this fertilizer situation under control, which is more the reason why you should be growing your own, or as much as you can of your own, which is what I've been trying to do last year with my experiment with potatoes and carrots, to see if I could manage to grow enough for the entire year and to see me through the winter. If I remember, I'll show you in the next video from the cabin those potato boxes in storage, and I'll just check on them to see, have they started sprouting yet. I know that the true potato seed tubers that I saved, if you remember, I grew potatoes from seed, and they grew into plants and produced small tubers. I kept back those tubers. They're now sprouting. I was there this morning very briefly, and I opened the egg box that they were in, and they're actually sprouting. So this year I'll be planting those tubers. So I'll have gone from seed, true potato seed, to potato plant with small tubers, replant, and hopefully we'll get a decent crop. We'll see. It's all an experiment. I'm talking about potatoes as if by magic. Look at that. Props. I'm chitting potatoes here at home, ready to have a mass planting down the field at some point. I might start next weekend. We'll see. Comments. Bocker burgers, not made with meat. Cal says I've heard of those. Petrol for mower and generator, and LPG for heater. Monkey chops. Yeah, I have petrol, and I store petrol for the strimmer, which also has a chainsaw attachment on it, and for the little red tractor. I also store diesel, which is for the diesel heater and my car, because my car runs on diesel. And in the cabin, in terms of heating, I've got the diesel heater, and yes, I've got it's actually butane rather than LPG. So the butane burns with a higher temperature flame. So I use butane for the heater and also for the little gas hob you've seen me boil the kettle on. Yeah, so I've got lots of alternative sources. I can't generate right now enough to be able to cook off my solar electric. I could probably boil a cup of water with one of those small little 12-volt elements you see truck drivers use. But I am experimenting with a 12-volt immersion heater to try and get hot water. But I'm not sure, with the limited panel capacity I've got, how well that would work. I think during sunlight hours or daylight hours it would, because there's 400 watts coming, and you can get 200 or 300 watt heater elements. But the battery, I suspected that would drain the battery massively. So if I tried to heat up water at night, I'd just end up with no battery left. But we have alternatives, and there's always the wood stove. Change the carbon on your generator for 10 quid to use petrol or LPG. Yeah, I've seen dual fuel electric generators. You're right in that it gives you redundancy. So if there's a shortage of petrol, and you could use either petrol or gas, because gas is much easier to store than petrol is. It's safer as well. So yeah, the more redundancy or backup you can have for anything to do with prepping. They always say that 2 is 1 and 1 is none, because if something breaks and you're in a grid down scenario, you're buggered because you can't go out and get a replacement. So yeah, redundancy, always a great idea. Randomness, we're still on about cows and sheep and such like. What you're saying there about there'll be no animals for manure, that is kind of what I was alluding to earlier when I said I won't go down that route of whether animals are destroying the planet or not. What you're basically saying is, and it's true, that the animals actually provide nutrients for the soil to help grow the vegetables and other fruits and such like the plants. And since we've gone down that road now, what people also don't mention is the amount of carbon that's captured in pasture land, rather than if you plough it, it releases it into the atmosphere. If you leave it as pasture, it locks it in the ground like trees do. So there's a whole argument to be had as to why this we must get rid of all the animals because they're destroying the planet is complete BS, which in my opinion it is. So yeah, but we'll not get dragged too far astray. Cracking facility. So harvesting CO2 from the atmosphere, we're not allowed to do that because it's noisy. Okay. Steve, do I plan to live on my land? You're looking for some yourself. Okay. There was some very, very close to me. I don't know if it's still available or not. It was bigger than my field. Mine's 1.6 acres. I think the piece that was for sale was 4 acres, I think. Or was it 2 acres? Told you I was getting old and my mind's not what it was. Anyway, there was a piece of land very, very close to where I am. Not sure if it's still available or not. I suspect it might have sold, but it was expensive. All land that is expensive, actually, even just plain old farmer's field for ploughing and planting, is expensive. And when you get into smaller parcels, the price goes up per acre. So if you're buying a huge 20-acre field, you'll get it for about £8,000 to £10,000 an acre. If you're buying a 2-acre field, then the price is probably closer to 15,000 to 20,000 an acre. It's bizarre how land is priced. The rest of your question I will answer in this way. My land does not have planning permission for residential use, and it's pretty unlikely in the short term to get planning permission for residential use. Having said that, I noticed that the village that is very nearby is gradually moving further and further and further and further down the country road that goes off to the next small town village. So at some point in the future, it might fall into development land, but at the moment it's not, it's agricultural, and I only use it for agricultural purposes, if that makes sense. Cargo netting over the Polytunnel. That was the next bit on my list, and I got sidetracked, as I always do. Yeah, Polytunnel, wind. Somebody made a comment on yesterday's video. Apologies, I can't remember who it was. And they were saying that the new one looked sturdier, and they'd had some, and the frame on theirs had held, but the canopy, the plastic cover, hadn't. And I think they said they were on their third one. Apologies, I can't remember who it was that said it. You'll have seen in yesterday's video, I was really, really pleased when I opened the box, because it was what I'd actually ordered. I'd ordered specifically the one with the thicker or wider diameter tubing. So I was really happy to see that come out the box, because you never know when you're buying on eBay. And I've never had the problem I've had with the covers has been where the windows are. The flaps that go over are the thick plastic material, but the mesh insect screen, it's like tissue paper. Within a matter of weeks, in a strong wind, it's the sun has degraded it, and the wind has blown through it, and then you end up with the outer flaps just doing this. I suspect when I put the cover on this new one, I'll permanently fasten all but 2 of those windows, and I'll design it so they can't be opened except for 2. Other than that, the cover's held up really well. The only place that I have had a hole in it is where the metal tube framework has snapped and actually pushed from the inside through. But I'm really excited to get this new Polytunnel up and running. Hopefully this coming weekend, I'll be able to do a little bit more work bracing the structure. I am thinking about the door. I don't want to have those normal zips where you just open a flap. I'm looking at how I can perhaps have a proper construct, a proper framework, and have a real door in there. But I'm a bit off that yet. But the object is to get it up as soon as I can, because I want to get planting. Hence, I've got potatoes chitting, and I've got other stuff going on that I want to get in there undercover. Right now, the only thing I've got growing is cabbages, some garlic. I have got 1 pot of potatoes. Having said that, though, it's exposed now. It was in the Polytunnel, and now it's not. It's exposed to the elements. Some carrots. I've got carrots in buckets. No sign of those germinating yet, but they are outside. It is cold still. I've got sweet potatoes on the windowsill here. I think it's still too cold for them, in all honesty, because I'm not seeing what I saw last time I did it. So I think it's a little bit early still. But has anybody else started planting yet? You know, let's have a little pop in the comments about who's planting what and where. Is it inside, outside, raised bed, pots, in the garden, maybe? I don't know. Just check the comments again quickly. Yeah, Steve, I don't know how long you've been viewing the channel, but if you go back to back into 2019, I think, when I got my land. I did a couple of videos on the subject of land. Buying land is very, very complicated in the UK. And you're right in your comment. There's all kinds of covenants, restrictions, clawback clauses. So if you get planning permission for a piece of land, the person that sold you that can take a cut from you, a percentage of the perceived increase in value of the land. There's a whole range of stuff. Have a look at those. And I did find that, curious as it sounds, Rightmove has lots on, and auction sites have lots on. But it is a bit of a luck of the draw, really, if you're looking at small parcels of land. If you don't find what you're looking for in those videos I've already done, drop me another comment once this is finished and it's on the replay. Drop me another comment in there, and I'll either answer the question that you have, or I'll maybe do a little segment on that on a live stream. I'm looking now at the time, and I've got 10 minutes to run, which is way not enough time to justify the topic. But yeah, there's all kinds of potential pitfalls, and indeed I went through a potential pitfall when somebody reported me for the use of the land, just to be a pain in the butt, I suspect. And I had the council descend on me, and I had a huge battle for months. But I'm happy to happy to talk to anybody about what my experience was, just in case they're interested and they might be going through the same journey with land use. I must have missed something in the comments. Somebody's talking about having people on, I presume, land, and having some stuff stolen. I must have missed a few comments here, because there's answers to comments, and I don't know what the question was or the comment was. Shawnee, you're already on the planting scene. Tomatoes, rhubarb, peppers. Oh, you're under lights. Okay, so indoors then, with assistance. I did debate buying, because they're actually quite cheap on eBay. It's a 12-volt LED strip. It's self-adhesive, or you could tack it onto a piece of wood, I guess, on the ceiling of the room. And it's this different broad spectrum, can't say it, grow lights on 12 volt. And because I've got oodles of 12 volt at the cabin, I did debate putting some up in the garden room, but I don't know, would it pay off or not? Because it's temperature as well. You've got to maintain the right temperature, which is difficult to do actually down on the field, even though I have got heating. Open-minded coding. Hi, I've not seen you comment on videos before. In fact, there's quite a few on here that I haven't. Elijah, hi. Haven't seen you before. Mandy. Seen Julie before. Hi. Open-minded coding. Thoughts on hydroponics? Hydroponics, I think, is a fantastic idea, because you're getting 2 food sources for one effort. You're essentially getting huge bucket, tank of water, which you can put fish in for eating. So things like perch would be good in the UK. And they produce their own waste byproduct as they're swimming around and eating the food that you give them, which gets cycled through various pipes or trays to grow plants and feed the plants. So it's a win-win, really. The only reason I haven't even tried it yet, it's cost and complexity. you need to buy quite a bit of equipment. So there's the tanks, there's the pumps, there's the trays and the pipe work. It's something I would like to try, small scale, but I haven't got around to it. But I do think it's a fantastic idea. And there's lots of companies looking into hydroponics, aquaponics, with a view to building huge industrial warehouse, Amazon warehouse style sheds to grow food in towns and cities, and therefore save on the shipping costs of getting them to market. So that will be a huge industry over the next few years, without a shadow of a doubt. But right now, I've kind of got my hands full with what I've got. But it is something that I have looked at briefly, something I am interested in, and something that I would encourage other people to look into, because everybody's circumstance is different. If you haven't got a field to plant in, but you've got a big shed or a barn or a huge garage, or some old industrial unit, then that's a solution for you not having a field. Julie, off topic. Small camping rocket stoves are priced 20 quid on eBay and run off twigs. Okay for boiling a kettle. I've actually got a couple of those small. They're like foldable ones that flat pack, and then when you want them, you assemble them. And they're in my bug out bags for that purpose. So I can pop my mess tin to heat up my MRE meal, or my tins of whatever it is I happen to have with me, or to make tea and coffee. So yeah, as for things like bugging out, to go in your bug out bag, yeah. So surely you're well on it with your planting. So you've got broccoli and cabbage in as well. Wow. So you're actually using hydroponics, Gareth? Oh, now that you that's something I don't know. You're talking about the Kratky method. No idea what that is, but somebody else seems to know. This is what the comment section is for in all of the videos, not just the live stream. There's a lot of people out there, and a lot of them, because I'm seeing some people commenting on here for the first time. A lot of people watch the videos but don't comment. And what's really interesting and exciting is that there's a lot of knowledge out there. There's a lot of people that kind of visit all these different channels, not just me, but other channels. And if you ask the right question, all of a sudden, the thing that you've been searching for years and you've never been able to get right, or you've never been able to find that bit of information, suddenly up pops a guy and says, oh yeah, by the way, it's this. There's a wealth of knowledge out there in the community on YouTube. People have got skills and experience far in excess of the average guy on the street. So if you can bring all these people together into a single community and share that knowledge, I think it's a fantastic thing, and I would hope that you agree. So I would encourage everybody that visits, even if it's just a one-off, pop in now and again, not a regular, shall we say, viewer, to comment, or if you've got a question, to ask the question. Because if I don't know, and I don't know lots of stuff, if I don't know, there's a chance that somebody that's watched the video or watched the live stream will know. As evidence in the comments today, there's lots of people out there with a lot of knowledge. I'm just conscious of the time. It's almost the hour, almost exactly the hour. If anybody's got any more specific questions for me, now's your chance, because I do like to get off on time. I've got tidying up to do. I've got to get ready for work in the morning, so on, so forth. I hope you have found today today's live stream useful. I hope there was no doom and gloom, because I didn't want any today. And I hope that the comments section has been useful. Clearly, for some people, it is. There's quite a nice little dialogue going backwards and forwards between individual commenters. It's really nice to see. And it's really nice to see everybody's happy and friendly and getting on with each other. Because sometimes you visit a channel and in the comment section, there's people having a right Barney. They're having some not nice words to each other. And clearly we've got a really more refined and welcoming community here in our comment section. Okay, I don't think anybody's got any more questions. Yeah, no, that's it then. Well, thanks for taking the time to come and view today. Really do appreciate it. Appreciate anybody who views any of my channel content. Particularly enjoy when people come to the live stream. You never know who's going to be there, and I sit here and I'm desperately waiting for somebody to say something so that I know that there's somebody there. Otherwise it'd be like the old tumbleweed on the movies, wouldn't it? I'm sat here on my own. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming, taking time out of your day to listen to my ramblings. Do appreciate it. As always, whenever you're visiting the channel, do like, subscribe, share, do all of the stuff that YouTube likes. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, do stay safe and well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a great week next week. And for sure, I'll be back during the course of the week. If I can, I'll put out another little video midweek. If not, I'll definitely be back at the weekend and we'll hopefully see some more progress with the Polytunnel. I've had lots of ideas today off the back of my construction yesterday. So stay safe and well, enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye for now.